Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our microlearning sprint here with Coding Kids. So in our last episode of last week, we talked about data and how our computer can understand it. Well, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about two important concepts, Boolean conditions and conditional constructs. Now, to understand Booleans and conditionals, let's quickly revisit one of the 6 fundamental concepts of coding, branching. Let's give an example of where we might see branching used. Let's say if you're baking a cake. You've made your cake batter and the recipe says if you have a fan-forced oven, bake the cake at 180 degrees Celsius for 40 minutes. Otherwise, bake your cake at 200 degrees Celsius for 50 minutes. This is an example of branching. You're provided a few different options and the path you take depends on one factor. This factor is called a Boolean condition. A Boolean value, first and foremost, is basically a fancy term for a value of true or false. A Boolean condition, therefore, is a term for a statement that can either evaluate to true or false. An example of a Boolean condition in this situation is the statement, I have a fan-forced oven. This is a Boolean condition because there are 2 possible outcomes. The statement will either be true or it will be false. If the statement evaluates to true, so you do have a fan-forced oven, then the recipe suggests you should bake the cake at 180 degrees Celsius for 40 minutes. But if the statement evaluates to false, so you don't have a fan-forced oven, then the recipe assumes you have a conventional oven and suggests that you should bake the cake at 200 degrees Celsius for minutes. Now, there are many different structures for conditional statements, but here is the most basic one that you might come across when programming. It's called the if-else construct, and it usually looks something like this. I'm hoping you can all read that. So, if Boolean condition, then consequence if Boolean condition evaluates to true, else alternative action if Boolean condition evaluates to false. But how can we fill in the blanks of this construct using the information we know about our cake? Well, then we have something more like this. So if I have a fan-forced oven, then bake at 180 degrees Celsius for 40 minutes. So if the Boolean condition is equal to true, else bake at 200 degrees Celsius for 50 minutes. So again, if the Boolean condition is equal to false. You can sort of see how the two sort of fit together a little bit in that way. Now, there are a number of different constructs that make use of Boolean conditions. In Scratch, you'll only actually need to encounter 2 of them, the if construct and the if-else construct, and they will look a bit like this. Again, I'm hoping you can see that. All right, question time. Have a play with the 2 different constructs and see if you can work out the difference between them. So if a Boolean condition statement evaluates to true using both conditions, what happens in each scenario? But again, if a Boolean condition evaluates to false using both constructs, what happens in each scenario there? You can leave your theories down in the comments. Now, in one of our upcoming videos, we're going to be talking about good project ideas for students from years 3 to 8 and extensively on Boolean conditions, among other things. So if you need a hand better understand this concept, please don't hesitate to reach out at all. Now, if you haven't already, don't forget to sign up for our Teacher PD certificate. If you complete 10 mini quizzes, so 1 quiz for each video, you'll get a certificate for completing an hour of PD. The link to sign up for that is in the description down below. All right, this is Eloise signing off. We'll see you tomorrow.